William Dietrich is the interim director of the Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville, and we welcome him back. Well, let's talk about a new agreement with Texas A&M, part of the information you'll find in their monthly newsletter over at the port, Port Matters. So how you doing, Chief? Good to talk to you again.
Doing good, Sergio. How are you today?
Good, sir. So A&M, it's in the news. So what's going on with Texas A&M and the port?
Well, on Thursday, February 8th, the Texas A&M system approved the building of a $30 million advanced manufacturing facility here at the Port of Brownsville. This proposed project will reside on 22 acres here at the port and will be paid for out of funding from the Permanent University Fund. And we'll have both classroom and labs to provide hands-on training, hands-on instruction. This facility will provide training in manufacturing fundamentals and advanced skills such as mechatronics, computer numeric controls, robotics, and 3D printing, and much more.
Very nice.
The goal of the South Texas Workforce Development Project is to develop the technical workforce in demand for jobs while stimulating state-of-the-art sustainable practices and advancement in manufacturing through the research and innovation. This is definitely a big deal for the Port of Brownsville as we move ahead. We're very excited about this.
Yes, sir. And with thousands of jobs being created right now, different skill sets, though, that we know. Right now they're in construction,
Yes,
over at Bechtel trying to hire thousands of people. I think they need to, you told us last, they've hired almost 1,000. They need to hire about 4,000 more, construct that LNG facility. Then we have steel nearby, and then we got welders and steel cutters nearby with the shipbreaking. So can the new Texas A&M facility, I know it deals with a lot of high tech and engineering, can they help with some of the other skill sets that are needed for the thousands of jobs that are at the port?
Absolutely. They will come down, they'll do a needs assessment, and they'll be able to see exactly what is needed. Which leads me to another point. You and I have been talking about a number about 35% of local people taking advantage of these jobs. I had a meeting with Bechtel the other day, and they actually gave me an exact number of how many people at their current work site right now are from the Rio Grande Valley, and it's 73%.
Excellent.
That's an amazing number. That's something we should be very proud of.
Yeah. I hope that they can keep the pace. Yeah. At about 1,000 people that they've hired already, to have over 70% local, that's good. You think they can keep that ratio going with the other 4,000 they need to hire before the end of the year? What do you think?
Sergio, they were very optimistic. I asked that specific question, and they said yes, they're very optimistic that they are starting to see the local talent really start showing up for these jobs. And when they're talking local talent, we're talking about people within 100 miles of the work site. And they were pleased to say that as this moves forward, this should remain close to that number. Let's
go back to the Texas A&M Center. William Dietrich is the interim port director of Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville, $30 million education center. Texas A&M committed to the ground. So when do we see dirt fly for this thing, and when do you think it would be up and running for all the high-tech training that you had mentioned earlier?
Well, I don't know exactly when they're going to start turning dirt, but I can tell you this, is that we're ready. All the agreements are in place. The land has already been leased. The funding has already been provided. Now, the wheels in the government system take a little longer than usual, but let's hope this comes up pretty quick.
Give me an update on the industrial park you guys are working on there at the port.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Sergio. Last Wednesday on February 7th, the Brownsville Navigation District Board of Commissioners approved the leasing rates for the 118-acre business park located here at the Port of Brownsville. These rates, we have to understand that these rates are aimed at attracting sustainable, high-quality companies to the port. And we are happy right now that we're in the beginning stages of negotiating with one of the first companies that are going to come in on a 14-acre lot. So it seems to be that we've hit the right spot as it relates to the rates, our location, and it is with subsequent individuals who come in looking, or companies looking to relocate here. They've looked and said that it's a very attractive site for them, and it looks like we have quite a bit of leads moving forward.
Is all the infrastructure already set for that industrial park, all the pipes and electricity and all that, or are you folks still working on that?
We are currently working on that right now. We should be completed by mid-May.
You got some tenants committed already to that land, people that have signed the contract and go ahead and set up shop?
Have not signed a contract yet, but we're very close, Sergio. We should be. Maybe the next time we talk, I should have more news on that, and it looks very promising.
Okay.
At this time.
Of the folks that you're recruiting or maybe calling you to set up shop, do they complement LNG? Do they complement the steel operations nearby? What are they a complement to? Would you be able to say?
Actually, yeah, definitely. There's going to be no relation to. It's not going to be a complementary industry to LNG. This is something totally different.
Okay.
It's going to be like a wheat processing flour plant that they're going to take advantage of the close proximity to the port to take advantage of shipping in and shipping out this type of product.
How close to the water is this industrial park?
I would say less than 1,000 feet.
Okay, but not at the port where they can park a ship and then off-board, on-board, directly to warehousing, or is it?
It's close enough to say that, yes, you
okay.
You can.
Get a few
the
trucks.
distance is not that significant.
A few trucks, few long beds, and you got business back and forth. William Dietrich is the interim port director of our Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville. And another note that you'll find in their monthly newsletter from the port, we got some ag commodities making news. So what's going on with sugar there at the port?
Well, Schaefer Stevedoring brought in 18,000 tons of sugar this month. So that's a pretty hefty load. That's pretty good. That says a lot for our local businesses, and it shows that the Port of Brownsville is definitely going to be used for that as we move on. We are getting a lot of insight and a lot of inquiry from Mexico right now, from the tourist industry down in Quintana Roo, Cancun area, that are looking at making weekly trips up to the Port of Brownsville to gather some of the food commodities and all that's going to need it to sustain the vacation industry and the tourist industry down there.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, what have you heard from the board? What's going on as far as perhaps you keeping this gig full time, Willie, as port director at the Port of Brownsville? You want the gig, or are you going to wait for somebody else to come in to lead in the near future?
Oh, I definitely want the gig, but sometimes decisions are not at your pay grade. I haven't asked much about it, but I could say this: there's been no complaints, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, amigo. I look forward to speaking with you in a few weeks and hoping for some good breaking news. Maybe we get some other industry we can announce here pretty soon. Thank you, Will.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sergio.
William Dietrich is the interim port director for our Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville.